Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming OCS exams happening in August 2025. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for OCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to take you through the technicalities behind the OCS exam. For most of you, this might be your first CIMA case study. If that is the case, it's essential that you understand the technicalities and understand how your knowledge is tested. That's why I intend to provide an overview into the OCS exam in the first part of today's webinar. And in the second part, I will be sharing an 8-week study plan with you to make sure that you across 8 weeks, you significantly improve your theory knowledge, significantly improve your application skills. If so, you will not struggle at your real examination. So before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming webinars and workshops we have scheduled for you. As you know, we are conducting 8 weekly webinars and workshops spread across 8 weeks until your examination. So in the second webinar, which is happening next Saturday at the same time, I will be taking you through your pre-seen document, thereby explaining what your company is all about, because you need to have a good understanding of your chosen company, which is Halfpenny, a packaged bread manufacturing company. So I will highlight the internal and external dynamics of Halfpenny in the second webinar, which is happening next Saturday. And the most important webinar out of the webinars which we have scheduled is the third one, which is the answering technique webinar, in which I'm going to teach you an answering technique along with a time management technique. After teaching you these technicalities, I will take you through one of the mock exams which we have developed. And, after taking you through the question, I will explain how to implement these answering and time management techniques in a practical sense. And from that point onwards, after you have learned your answering and time management techniques, when practicing mock exams, you are supposed to implement these techniques because if you do so, you will not struggle at your real examination. You will never run out of time because most students at the OCS exam end up failing, especially given the fact that they run out of time. So if you master your answering and time management techniques across the upcoming weeks, then you will not struggle at your real examination. And in the fourth webinar, exam prep, I'm going to take you through the examiner's comments because it's essential that you understand what the examiner expects from you. And at the same time, I will share some tips pertaining to how you can develop a higher level of confidence. And also, I will explain what to do when it comes to managing stress levels, because at this exam, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application skills. The examiner is also trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stressful situations, because if you cannot manage stressful situations, you will run out of time. If you run out of time, you will end up failing this examination. So, I will share these tips to make sure that you have the capability of practicing your stress management techniques. If you do so, you'd successfully manage your stress levels at your real examination. So once we are done with the webinar series, we are kickstarting the workshop series. So the workshop series starts with the workshop which is dedicated towards your F1 syllabus. So in this workshop, I will first take you through the entire syllabus concerning your F1 syllabus areas. Then I will take you through one of the mock exams which we have developed, and also explain how to structure your answers, which points you should consider when developing answers, so that you gain a good understanding of how to tackle F1 related questions. And also within these workshops, I will be conducting Q&A sessions. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can get them addressed within each of these workshops. So similarly, I will be conducting 2 more workshops focused on your P1 and P1 and E1 syllabi. And in the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a high level of confidence, a high level of positivity, because as per the exam blueprint, as per the CIMA examiner, students who are confident, students who believe in their skill set will, surely pass their OCS examination. So I want you to walk into the exam with the same type of positivity, same type of confidence. And that's why you need to attend the last or the final workshop as well. So I hope you'd attend these weekly webinars and workshops which we have scheduled for you, which is the best way to get in touch with me on a weekly basis and get all your questions and queries addressed. And at the same time, this is the best way to keep tabs about your performance on a weekly basis, because you can't work or expect to pass this examination by working across just 2 or 3 weeks. Instead, you have to start right now. You will understand how important it is when I'm taking you through the 8-week study plan towards the end of this webinar. So if you stick to a weekly process when it comes to preparations, then you have enough and more time to significantly improve your theory knowledge and application skills. If so, you will definitely pass your OCS exam with flying colors. All right. So then let's look at the pathways which leads towards the OCS exam. So first things first, looking at the CIMA general route, there are a set of students who are coming through the OTQ exams. So, if you are coming through the general route, you should have completed your E1, F1, and P1 syllabi, or E1, F1, and P1 OTQs by now. So since you're done and dusted with the OTQs, you have already, gained a lot of theoretical knowledge, which is essential at this stage. At the operational level, your theory knowledge is heavily tested. So because of that, it's essential that you understand all the syllabus areas covered in your E1, F1, and P1 pillars. So since you are done with the OTQs, you have already learned your theory. So at this exam, you simply need to improve on your application skills. So you have already learned theory, simply focus your attention towards improving your application skills. And if you're a student who is coming through the exemption route, such as the FLP or the Finance Leadership Program, you will find this exam to be relatively tough compared to one who is coming through the general route. Why is this the case? Because although via the FLP platform, you are expected to complete your knowledge areas, or there are competency tests within the FLP program, and there are certain study resources which you need to go through before completing these competency tests. Although all these resources are at your disposal, definitely you will struggle with certain syllabus areas concerned with P1 and F1. So you'd be totally cool with your E1 syllabus, but when it comes to P1 and F1, you will struggle a bit because these are highly technical areas. So these competency exams within the FLP platform do not cover all P1 and F1 areas, the technical elements. So that is why you need to spend some additional amount of effort towards learning theories concerning your P1 and F1 syllabi. And at the same time, you need to take steps to significantly improve your application skills. Because at this exam, just knowing your theories won't help. You need to make sure that you understand how to apply these theoretical concepts, how to apply these theoretical, apply the theoretical knowledge when developing answers at your examination. So if you're coming through an exemption route, as I mentioned earlier, you have to work a bit harder compared to someone who is coming through the general route. But don't worry, we have developed study resources which are specifically focused on those who are coming through exemption routes. So if you stick to our study plan and do up the weekly activities, then definitely you need not worry about passing this exam, because we have developed study resources which are intended to cover all syllabus areas. And at the same time, we have developed a study plan which is intended to make your life easy, so that you need not spend a lot of time for studies. Instead, simply by dedicating something like 6 to 9 hours on a weekly basis, you will be conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at the exam. You will be conversant with all syllabus areas or the theoretical concepts covered under your E1, P1, and F1 pillars. If so, you will be extremely successful at your real examination. So these are the pathways to the OCS exam. And let's look at the technicalities behind your exam. As you know, this is a PC-based examination. So you can, attempt this exam at home on your laptop or your computer, or you can attempt the exam at an examination center. So if you are experiencing regular power cuts or issues with internet connectivity at home, don't attempt the exam at your home. Instead, attempt your exam at an examination center. And the time allocation for the entire paper is 3 hours, and your paper is divided into 4 main tasks, and the time allocation dedicated towards each task is 45 minutes. So let me quickly show you how your paper is going to be structured, how a typical paper is going to be structured. So this is mock exam 1, which we have developed for your sitting. So if you look at this paper, as I mentioned earlier, your paper is divided into 4 main sections, and the time allocation for each section is 45 minutes. And on top of that, within each section, you will see 2 or 3 subtasks. So if you look at this paper, in each section, there are 3 subtasks, whereas in certain instances, you will only see 2 subtasks within each section. Okay, so that's how your timing and your sections are structured. And let's look at how your knowledge is tested. So it's as you know, at this examination, since this is a case study examination, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment, because once you're done with the CIMA qualification, you will become management accountants. So as management accountants, you should have the capability of applying your knowledge which you have gained through this qualification in a practical sense. So in order to test whether you possess the appropriate level of application skills, in order to see whether you can apply your knowledge concerning real-life corporate environment, the examiner tries to replicate a real-life corporate environment at your examination. So that's why it's as if you are receiving an email. So your boss is your finance manager. That's your direct supervisor. So you are receiving an email from your finance manager, and your role is that of a finance officer. I'm going to talk about what your responsibilities are in a little while. For now, I just want to take you through this paper. All right. So, and there's a scenario which is highlighted within this email, which talks about what the company is facing at the moment. And at the same time, tied to each of these scenarios, there will be certain requirements which you'd see within your paper. And in each requirement, you'd see a weightage provided. This weightage indicates how much marks are dedicated for each and every subtask. So based on these mark allocations, you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include under each subtask. That is the best way to make sure that you develop answers which are totally aligned with mark allocations. So I will explain how to do so, how to develop answers which are aligned, 100% aligned with mark allocations in the third webinar. That's why I said that the third webinar, answering technique webinar, is the most important out of the webinars which we have scheduled. So let's look at the first requirement. Explain how an ABC approach or an activity-based costing approach can be adopted for costing production operations and its benefits. So in this question, as per what's highlighted within this scenario, there is a reference material, and this reference material gives you an indication into the production process of your chosen company, which is Halfpenny. So as I mentioned earlier, you need to have a good grasp of what appears within your pre-seen document, because you need to know what happens within your chosen company, what happens within its industry, what what appears within the financial statements of your chosen company, and on top of what appears within the pre-seen document, some additional information will be shared with you via reference material or via the scenarios at your examination. So these are the additional information presented at the exam. And considering this additional information, and considering what you have gained via or what you have understood by going through the pre-seen document, you are supposed to develop your answer. So, when addressing this type of a question, I've seen students trying to explain what an ABC approach is, which will carry no marks, because when explaining or when addressing this question, it is not simply about explaining activity-based costing. It's simply not about developing a generic answer. Instead, you need to develop an answer which is totally aligned with the internal dynamics of halfpenny and totally aligned with what appears within this reference material. And similarly, if you look at the third subtask, recommend and justify 3 KPIs. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So if you look at the third subtask, recommend and justify 3 KPIs that could be used to measure the performance of the product development team. When developing the answer, you need to consider the information presented in this scenario, because there's some type of an issue highlighted within this scenario, and with the intention of fixing these issues, you are supposed to come up with KPIs in order to effectively measure performance of the production department's employees. And likewise, if you move to if we move to section number 2, the first question is about capitalization, which tests your understanding about IAS 16. When developing this answer, again, you need to consider what appears within the reference material, because there are certain costs which are shared with you via the reference material. And when developing your answer, you need to say which of these costs should be capitalized and which of these costs should be expensed. And likewise, so you need to consider what appears within this reference material. And in the second subtask, again, it's tied to IAS 16. It tests your understanding about depreciation. So additional information concerning this question appears within this reference material. So simply explaining what depreciation is as per IAS 16 won't get you any marks. Instead, you need to develop an answer considering the information shared with you. So that is why I said it's essential that you are conversant with all syllabus areas. If you have knowledge gaps, you will not pass this examination. I have to tell you at the inception, before you start your preparations, I have to tell you this fact. For instance, if you don't know what IAS 16 property, plant, and equipment is, then if IAS 16 PPE is tested at your exam, you will gain no marks for such a question. If so, you will not pass this examination. Okay. And looking at section number 3, explain what each variance means and the possible reasons for their occurrence. So if you are not conversant with variance analysis, you can't pass this exam, because variances will definitely be tested at the exam. There are various different variances. You have to be conversant with each variance. You have to know how each variance is calculated. However, you are not expected to do any calculations at this exam. Instead, you are supposed to understand or consider the information presented and explain about these numbers. You need to have the capability of explaining as to why the expenditure variance is a favorable one, whereas the efficiency variance, the variable overhead efficiency variance, is adverse. And likewise, you need to have the capability to explain why this fixed overhead expenditure variance is adverse and why the fixed overhead capacity variance is favorable. So all the additional information appears here. Considering this information, you are supposed to develop answers, conduct your evaluations, explain each of these variances, and in order to accurately explain these variances, you need to gain an in-depth understanding of what each variance is, how it is calculated, and if there are any connections between these variances, what these connections are. So first things first, you need to be conversant with your theoretical elements. Once you are conversant with these theories, you need to work towards improving your application skills, because just knowing theories won't help. You need to also work towards improving your application skills, because if you don't know how to apply the theoretical concepts or the theoretical knowledge areas which you have learned, when developing answers, you won't get any marks at your examination. And looking at the last section. This is a question tied to working capital management, which appears within your F1 syllabus. Again, when doing so, you need to consider the sales levels, the cash level, receivable, inventory, and payable days. All these things should be considered when developing this answer. So if you don't know what receivable days are, you'd lose a lot of marks when attempting this type of a question. And if you know what receivable days are, still, if you don't know how to apply your knowledge by looking at these numbers shared with you, again, you won't get a lot of marks at your examination. All right, so that's what your paper looks like. And when developing your answers, you need to stick to a certain methodology. So that's what you can see in here. You need to develop appropriate headings and subheadings because, as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So in a real-life corporate environment, when responding to an email, this is exactly how you are expected to develop your answers. So you need to develop appropriate headings and subheadings in a certain way, which I'm going to explain in depth in the third webinar. Also, when developing answers, you should develop your answers in paragraph form, thereby developing a paragraph per each point which you intend to highlight within your answer. So if you look at this entire suggested answer, you can see that there are main headings as well as subheadings, and I've utilized a paragraph per answer point. So that's how we are supposed to develop your answers. So the pass mark, talking about the pass mark of your paper, you need to score 80 out of 150 or 54% to pass this examination. So if you stick to our study plan, you will definitely achieve more than this, because our students who stick to our study plan end up scoring more than 95 marks at their real examination. So you need not worry about this pass mark, because if you commit yourself, if you stick to the study plan, we guarantee that you will score more than the pass mark. Instead, rather than scoring just 80, you will score more than 95 if you commit to the study plan. All right, so let's try to understand what your responsibilities are by looking at your role. So as I mentioned earlier, you are playing the role of a finance officer. So you are playing the role of a finance officer who works within Halfpenny. So as a finance officer, you need to possess a moderate level of application and practical thinking, because as a finance officer, you should know where you are located within your organization's hierarchy. So you are located at the operational level or the lowest level of your chosen company. And as an individual who is involved with, who is located within the operational level, you are involved with the daily activities carried out within your company. So all decisions are taken by the board members who are at the very top of your chosen organization or your organizational hierarchy. So they are at the strategic level. So these are the individuals who will adopt something called an outside-in approach when it comes to decision making. They will come up with decisions which impact the company for more than 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and whatnot. So the decision makers are here, and your role is to implement these decisions on a daily basis. So let's assume the decision makers come up with a 12-month plan. So in order to achieve this 12-month plan on a daily basis, we need to start working towards achieving the plan. So your role is to implement these plans on a daily basis so that we end up achieving our long-term objectives or long-term goals. So that's what your role is. And the management level, which sits between the strategic and operational levels, the management level's responsibility is to make sure that the operational level employees do their job properly. And at the same time, the management level should inform or keep the board members informed about whether we are headed in the correct direction, whether we are implementing the plans in an appropriate manner, whether the operational level staff are facing any hiccups. If so, what type of mitigate reaction we should take. All these type of recommendations and evaluations are conducted by staff at the management level. So you are at the operational level, you have nothing to do with decision making. That is why your practical decision making will not be tested. The only instance in which your decision making skills will be tested is pertaining to recommendation of KPIs, recommendation of key performance indicators. Other than that, you need not worry about practical decision making. As an individual who is involved with the daily running of the company, you have to have a good understanding of all the theoretical concepts, especially the theoretical concepts covered within your P1 and F1 syllabi, because P1 and F1 is all about managing a business concerning its routine activities, or managing a business concerning how effectively we implement the decisions taken by the board members. So that's why you have to be conversant with your P1 and F1 syllabi. So your exam is going to be theory heavy. That's exactly why I said it's essential that you gain an in-depth understanding of all syllabus areas covered under your E1, P1, and F1 syllabi. Because if you have any knowledge gaps, especially if you're coming through an exemption route, you will definitely have knowledge gaps which will not be addressed via the competency exams and the resources on the FLP platform. Instead, you need to put in some additional effort compared to someone who is coming through the general route to learn all theoretical concepts and at the same time improve your application skills, thereby getting an understanding of how to apply the theoretical knowledge which you have learned when developing your answers. So don't worry. I don't want to scare you. I'm trying to be honest at this stage. However, if you stick to our study plan and start working on a weekly basis, you will, by the time you're done with the entire study plan, you will know how each syllabus area is tested at the exam. You will know how to tackle each syllabus area, how to structure your answers properly concerning each theoretical concept. If so, you won't struggle at your real examination. All right, so let's dive deeper into your examination. So information is provided about a fictitious company in advance via something called a pre-scene document. So I hope since the same pre-scene is used for both exam sittings which happened in May, as well as exam sitting which is happening in August, the same pre-scene document is utilized. So I hope you would have already gone through the pre-scene document. So, at TCS, we have gone a step further and developed something called an annotated pre-scene. So we have come up with tutor annotations with the intention of summarizing the information presented in your pre-scene document. Because as you know, your pre-scene goes on to 25 to 30 pages usually, and there's a lot of information. You need to gain an understanding of which of these information is the most important, which of the information is actually not too relevant to your examination. So as a student, you won't possess the capability to understand or to make the demarcation between important and not so important information. So in order to make your life easy, we have come up with tutor notations, thereby summarizing the entire pre-scene in an understandable manner. And at the same time, we have also explained the probable exam scenarios which can be tested based on the information presented in each part of your pre-scene document. And tied to these probable exam scenarios, we have highlighted the syllabus areas which can be tested at your examination. And considering these syllabus areas and exam scenarios, we have developed our 6 mock exams. So you can see the same, throughout this document as well. So there's a lot of information about how sales operate, or what type of sales channels we deal with at the moment. So we have made your life easy by summarizing all the information in one single place, and at the same time explaining the probable exam scenarios which can be tested, along with the syllabus areas which can be tested as well. So you have to be conversant with the pre-scene, because as I mentioned earlier, if you don't know what goes within, or what happens within a halfpenny, if you're clueless about what happens within your company, you are not well poised to play the role of a finance officer. So if you're playing the role of a finance officer, and if you want to be successful, first things first, You need to know what happens within your chosen company. You need to know what appears within your chosen company's financial statements. And in the exam, you are required to address issues or questions relating to the operations of the company. So you are located at the operational level. So because of that, you are supposed to be conversant with how operations are run within your chosen company. And when developing answers, you need to show to the examiner that you possess an appropriate level of knowledge about the company. So that is why you have to be conversant with what appears within your pre-seen document. And at the same time, you should show to the examiner that you have learned your E1, P1, and F1 pillars. And at the same time, you have the capability of applying these theoretical concepts when developing answers. Because at your exam, as I mentioned on multiple occasions, previously, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So just think that you are actually working for this company. So if you look at what you do at office, let's assume you receive an email from your boss and you are supposed to, explain activity-based costing. When doing so, will you, develop a highly theoretical answer, or will you try to address the requirements highlighted within the scenario? Your job when working in a real life corporate environment is to cut out all unnecessary jargon. Instead, be direct and start addressing. When responding to an email, you have to address the exact requirements of what appears within the email. So this you need some practice to improve the skill set, because when you are attempting your first mock exam, definitely you will come up with highly theoretical answers. If there's a question to do with activity-based costing, you will spend a considerable amount of time explaining activity-based costing. And if there's a question about working capital management, again, you will spend a lot of time to explain what receivable days, payable days, the inventory days, the cash conversion cycle and whatnot, which is totally irrelevant. Instead, you need to make sure that you develop answers which are aligned with the exact information presented in the scenario. So that's why I said the examiner is testing, not just testing your theory knowledge, the examiner is testing your application skills. So when developing your answers, you need to show to the examiner that you have learned your theory, that you know how to apply each of these theoretical concepts when developing answers. And at the same time, you need to show to the examiner that you know what happens within your chosen company, halfpenny. All right. And based on all these things, I've developed a to-do list. So you need to complete all these requirements in the upcoming 8 weeks. So first things first, you need to attend the live webinars and workshops, which are conducted on a weekly basis, because in each week we are sharing hordes of important information. So don't miss out on any of the webinars and workshops. And, for some unavoidable reason, if you end up missing out on any of these webinars and workshops, don't worry. The recorded version can be accessed via our student dashboard, via our website, and via our YouTube handle. Then you have to read the annotated pre-scene, because as I mentioned earlier, you need to have a good understanding of what happens within your chosen company. So with that in mind, you have to go through the annotated pre-scene on your own. Then you are supposed to watch 4 pre-scene analysis videos. So your pre-scene is divided into 4 main parts. There's an introduction, and there's an indication about the internal dynamics of your chosen company. There's an indication about the budget of your chosen company and what the company intends to achieve in the future. And lastly, the financial statements can be seen. So focused on each of these 4 elements, we have developed 4 different pre-scene analysis videos. And once you have watched each video, you will gain a good understanding of what appears within your pre-scene document. So once you're conversant with the entire pre-scene, then you should direct your attention towards conducting preparations with the intention of improving your theory knowledge. So that's why you need to go through a set of slides, the industry analysis and financial analysis slides. And on top of that, go through the top 10 issue slides, which indicate the most prominent syllabus areas or scenarios which can be tested at your real exam. Then you have to go through the theory recaps, which are intended to help brush up your knowledge in a jiffy. So you have to go through these resources. Then once you're done with all these things, you are supposed to practice the 6 exam standard and pre-scene specific mock exams. So if you want to cover the entire syllabus, you cannot do so by attempting just 2 or 3 mock exams. You have to make up your mind to attempt 6 mock exams. Why 6 mock exams? Because if you had gone through past exam variants or past papers, you would have seen 6 different variants. So the examiner focused on each pre-scene ends up developing 6 variants. Why is the examiner developing 6 variants with the intention of covering the entire syllabus? The examiner has no way of covering the entire syllabus by developing just 2 or 3 mock exams or 2 or 3 variants. That is why you see 6 variants, because it takes 6 variants to cover the entire syllabus. So replicating a similar methodology, we at TCS, we have developed 6 variants as well, or 6 mock papers. So once you are done with all 6 mock exams, you will gain an in-depth understanding of how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam. And once you have attempted each of these mock exams under exam conditions, you'd practice your answering and time management techniques along with stress management techniques. When you're conversant with all these things, when you're conversant with the entire syllabus, when you're conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at the exam, when you're conversant with how to manage your answering, time management, and stress management techniques, you will end up getting extremely good marks at your real examination. So don't walk into the exam with knowledge gaps. Instead, you have to make up your mind to attempt 6 mock exams in order to achieve real success at your exam. And also, you are supposed to refer to and redevelop to a set of documents which is known as an answer plan. So let me quickly show you what an answer plan looks like. So when developing your answers, you need to spend some time, when practicing mock exams and at your real examination, you need to spend some time to plan out your answer. So as I mentioned earlier, in each section, the time allocation is 45 minutes. So, when utilizing these 45 minutes right after reading through the scenario, you are not expected to type out your final answer. Instead, you need to spend some time to structure your answer or plan your answer or develop something called an answer plan. So this is what an answer plan looks like. So in the first question, as I took you through mock exam 1, the first section, the first subtask was about activity-based costing. So this is the way in which I have, structured the answer. So as you can see, I've, come up with a skeleton or an answer structure, thereby spending some time to plan out your answer. Because this is exactly what you do when you are operating at office or when you are operating under in a real corporate environment. Because right after receiving an email, you won't try to come up with your response. Instead, you have to spend some time to make sure that you have addressed all the questions or the requirements or concerns which are highlighted within the email which you received. So in order to do so in a successful manner, you have to spend some time to structure your answer. So we have developed answer plans for each of the 6 mock exams which we have developed. So you're not only getting access to the answer plan, the 6 mock exams along with the suggested answers, you're also gaining access to these answer plans, which makes your life easy when it comes to understanding how to approach each syllabus area, how to get your logic right, and how to structure your answers appropriately. And based on these answer plans, after learning how to structure your answers, you are supposed to fine-tune your answering technique by trying to replicate answer plans which are similar to TCS's. So I took you through the mock exams and I said that your final answer should look like this. So when you go through these suggested answers, you're not in a position to easily understand the main points highlighted. You're not in a position to easily understand how your answer is structured. But if you look at this answer plan, you can easily understand the points which you should cover and at the same time how to structure your answer. And if you champion this technique when conducting your preparations. If you are in a position, by the time you are done with the 8 weeks of prep, if you are in a position to replicate answer plans which are akin to TCS's, then you will do so at your, you will develop well-structured answers at your exam. If so, you will gain extremely good marks. So that's the final part of your to-do list. You have to refer to and redevelop the answer plans which we have developed focused on all 6 mock exams. So you will understand how to develop answer plans, how to redevelop answer plans and whatnot when we are done with the 3rd webinar, because in the 3rd webinar, I said that I'm going to teach you answering and time management technique. After teaching you these techniques, I'm going to take you through one of the mock exams which we have developed, and thereby I'll teach you how to structure your answers or how to develop answer plans in an appropriate manner in a practical sense. So when doing so, I will take you through one of the answer plans which we have developed for one of the mock exams. So when I'm taking you through this answer plan, you will understand how you should develop your answers and what you need to do in terms of redeveloping answer plans. So wait until webinar 3 to go through the answer plans which we have developed. So that's your to-do list. You might think that there's a lot on your plate. Yes, it is. But if you stick to our study plan, across 8 weeks, you are expected to, complete all these activities. And, if you start right now, you simply need to dedicate something like 6 to 9 hours, nothing more, nothing less. All right. So that's your to-do list. And before we move on to the 8-week study plan, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the OCS page. If you're yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. Once you have done so, you will gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops which we conduct. You will also gain access to mock exam 1 and its suggested answer free of charge, along with the answer plan of mock exam 1. And you also have the opportunity of attempting mock exam 1 under exam conditions via the exam platform which we have developed. So we have developed an exam platform which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you attempt your real examination. So via the free content, you have the opportunity of attempting mock number 1 in its entirety across 3 hours, just like in your real exam via the exam platform. So once you're done with mock exam 1, you will realize what your shortcomings are. And once you realize your shortcomings, in the upcoming weeks, you are supposed to take steps to, overcome these shortcomings in order to be successful at your real examination. And if you're interested in investing on our paid content, before you do so, check our sample material to see what we offer. And if you're yet to join our OCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it. Via this forum, we will address all your questions and queries. And at the same time, we will keep you informed about the commencement dates and times of the weekly webinars and workshops which we conduct. And this is the best way to, keep in touch with me. Because if you have any questions, you can either DM me or, drop a message via the WhatsApp group. I'm always there to help you guys out. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the Essential course and the Value course. The Essential course is designed for those who have completed their OTQ exams or those who are coming through the CIMA general route. So since you have already learned your theory, as I mentioned earlier, at this exam, it simply comes down to improving your application skills. So under the Essential course, you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops which are conducted on a weekly basis. You will gain access to 3 mock exams with suggested answers, because since you have already learned theory, having access to just 3 mocks will help you. You need not practice 6 mock exams because there aren't any knowledge gaps since you're done with the OTQs. It's simply a matter of improving your application, so you can improve your application skills by attempting just 3 mock exams. You will also gain access to the pre-scene analysis videos, 4 videos in total. The annotated pre-scene, you saw what the annotated pre-scene looks like and how easy it is to understand what appears within your pre-scene document. You'd also gain access to the industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you how our, or what the content of these resources are. The industry analysis slides are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we have defined your industry so that you gain a clear understanding of what a typical company within your chosen industry operate, or what a typical company does. Then we've also indicated about the competitive landscape of your chosen industry. And we have also indicated industry trends. And based on these industry trends or changes, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real examination. And at the very end, we have considered 2 real-life companies which are similar to Halfpenny to make sure that you gain an in-depth understanding of how real-life companies operate and what they go through when operating within your industry. So that's what's covered under your industry analysis slides. And looking at the financial analysis slides, these are a set of slides which we developed for a previous case study. As you would have seen towards the very end of your pre-sin document, you would see a statement of profit and loss. So we have evaluated the statement of profit and loss to make sure that you gain a good understanding of what appears within your SOPL. And similarly, we have evaluated the SOFP as well. And we have also evaluated the statement of cash flows. And lastly, we have conducted a ratio analysis. And again, we have explained each ratio, evaluated each ratio in depth, yet making sure to keep things simple so that you can easily understand what appears within each financial statement of your chosen company. All right, so you have to go through these resources. Then you have to go through the top 10 likely issue slides and the case study familiarization kit. So once you have read through this familiarization kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you stand a chance to gain a good understanding about the technicalities of your chosen examination. And you'd also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat via the Essential course. So the Essential course is priced at £199. And talking about the value course, the value course is designed for those who are coming through the exemption route, such as FLP, and those who had failed the OCS exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So with the intention of bridging your theoretical knowledge gaps, and with the intention of teaching you application skills, we have developed some additional resources under the value course. So on top of what appears within the Essential course, you'd also gain access to the OTQ revision cards. So once you go through these OTQ revision cards, in a jiffy, you are in a position to learn the theoretical concepts which are relevant for your case study. Also, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform via which you can attempt all 6 mock exams. So, in the Essential course, you are only gaining access to 3 mock exams. But under the value course, you are gaining access to 6 mock exams. And within these 6 mock exams, we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas. So this is a full syllabus coverage package. We guarantee you that. And at the exam, you will not struggle when you are conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at the exam. And as I mentioned earlier, you would gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Also, you'd gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. And once you have access to these answer plans, your revision becomes extremely easy, because by going through these answer plans, you will easily understand how to structure your answers, the logic behind each answer, how to work on your application skills, how to tackle each syllabus area. And once you have learned all these things, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans on your own. And when you are redeveloping answer plans, that's the best type of revision you could do after attempting each and every mock examination. So the value course is priced at £499, which can be paid in 2 installments of £249 each. Or if you opt to pay in full, you will save £100. If so, the price is just £399. So you can click on either of these buttons and invest on your preferred course. All right, so that's what we offer. Having said that, let me quickly remind you of the important dates. Exam entry closes on the 22nd of July, 2025, which is a Tuesday. So beyond this point, if you intend to sit for the exams happening in August, you have to book your exam before the 22nd of July 2025. But don't wait until the 22nd of July to book your exam. If you had made up your mind to sit for the exams happening in August, book right now. Why am I suggesting you to book your exam right now? Because if you do so, you are committing yourself. You know for a fact that you can't go back. You can't change the date. So because of that, you will start, you will commence your preparations rather than waiting until the last moment. Because if you wait until the 22nd of July, you will feel that you don't have enough time to conduct preparations. So because of that, you will postpone your sitting for the exams happening in November. And in November, you will do the same thing. So don't procrastinate. Don't keep pushing your exam dates. Finish off your exams as much as possible, because out of the three case studies, OCS is the easiest. If you're struggling at this stage, then you will struggle a lot at your SCS examination as well as your MCS exam. So there's absolutely no point of wasting time. Try to complete your exam as fast as possible. So if you intend to sit for the exams happening in August, book your exam right now. Don't wait until the last moment. Don't wait until the exam entry closes. And the exams are from the 6th of August to the 8th of August 2025. Okay, so we are in the second part of today's webinar, in which I'm going to take you through the 8-week study plan. And this 8-week study plan can be accessed via our website itself by clicking on this button. So let's look at what you're expected to achieve on a weekly basis. So we are in week number 1. The study time which you should dedicate simply comes up to 8 hours. And within this week, you are supposed to refer to the OTQ theory recaps, go through the theory recaps which we have developed for E1, P1, and F1 syllabi. Specifically focus your attention towards P1 and F1 because E1 is not actually tested at this examination. So focus your attention towards P1 and F1. Start with P1. Once you're done with your P1 syllabus, move on to the F1 syllabus. And within this week, refer to the OCS familiarization kit as well, so that you gain a good understanding about the technicalities of your examination. And in week number 2, which is next week, you are supposed to focus your attention towards your pre-scene document. So watch the pre-scene analysis videos, the 4 videos in total. Once you have watched these videos, conduct revision by going through the annotated pre-scene on your own. And after that, go through the industry and financial analysis slides on your own. So as you can see, week 2 is wholly dedicated towards decrypting the pre-scene document. Once you're conversant with what appears within the pre-scene, in week number 3, you have to kickstart your mock exam preparation. So the most hectic week is week number 3, because as you can see, you are supposed to dedicate 12 hours of study time. Why 12 hours? Because within this week, you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams. All right, so before you start attempting mock exams, you need to decrypt the pre-scene document, and don't start attempting mocks until you attend webinar number 3. Because as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to teach you answering and time management techniques in webinar number 3. Wait until we are done with the 3rd webinar. After understanding or learning these answering and time management techniques, whenever you are attempting a mock exam, your job is to implement these techniques, because it takes some practice for you to get these answering and time management techniques right. So when attempting each mock exam, one of your prime responsibilities is to make sure that you take steps towards practicing your answering and time management techniques. So once you have attended the 3rd webinar, attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform under real exam conditions. As I mentioned earlier, our exam platform is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system, which helps you immensely at your real exam, because you won't struggle with a new exam platform. You will not spend some time or waste time to get your bearings with the technicalities behind the exam platform. Simply attempt each mock via our exam platform, then you'd know what the exam platform actually looks like at your real examination. And once you're done with mock number 1, this is supposed to, make you realize what your shortcomings are with regards to answering and time management techniques. Once you are exposed to your shortcomings, once you have understood your shortcomings, then you are supposed to attempt mock exam 2 via the exam platform. Once you are done with the first 2 mock exams, redevelop answer plans, because just attempting mocks won't help. You need to spend some time to conduct your revision. And the only way to revise is to redevelop answer plans. So attempt mocks 1 and 2, which is going to take 6 hours, because each mock exam, the time allocation of each mock exam is 3 hours. So when you are attempting 2 mock exams within the 3rd week, you will take 6 hours to do so. And once you are done with the 2 mock exams, redevelop the answer plans, which is when you are trying to see how you should have structured your answer. You are trying to figure out whether you are capable of replicating the answer plans which TCS has developed, because when you're conducting such revision, you are solely focusing your attention towards making sure you significantly improve your application skills, because if you don't improve your application skills, you can't pass this examination, as I mentioned earlier. So once you're done with the most hectic week, in week number 4, it's simply a matter of dedicating simply 6 to 9 hours of study time within the 4th week. So attempt mock number 3 via the exam platform. Once you're done with it, go through our answer plans and redevelop answer plans concerning mock number 3. And similarly, in week number 5, direct or focus your attention towards mock number 4 by attempting mock 4 and redeveloping answer plans. And in week number 6, attempt mock 5 and redevelop the answer plan. And in week number 7, attempt mock number 6 and redevelop the answer plan. So as you can see, only in week number 3, you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams. But beyond that point, it's simply a matter of attempting a mock exam per week and conducting revision focused on the weekly mock exam. So don't wait until the last moment, because if you wait until the last moment, I've dealt with hordes of students who wait until the last 2 or 3 weeks to start preparations. Yes, you will have time to attempt all 6 mock exams, but you won't have time to conduct revision. You won't have time to redevelop answer plans. So as I mentioned earlier, it's essential that you conduct your revision, that you fine-tune your answering technique, you fine-tune your answer structures, you gain an in-depth understanding of how each syllabus area can be tested and how to tackle application. So you need to cover all these things by redeveloping answer plans. So don't wait until the last moment. Stick to our study plan, because if you do so, you will have enough time to achieve a great work-life balance. Because I know for a fact that you might be running your own business, you might be working full-time. If so, you won't have a lot of time to dedicate towards studies. So if you wait until the last moment, you will struggle a lot. However, if you start right now, you are simply supposed to dedicate 6 to 9 hours per week. And for instance, keep off Mondays, because Mondays are usually hectic. On Tuesday, attempt a mock exam. Take a break on Wednesday. On Thursday, redevelop answer plans. So it's simply a matter of working just 2 days a week. Attempt a mock exam on Tuesday and redevelop the answer plan on Thursday. And towards the weekend, simply attend the weekly webinar. So that's how simple this examination is, because if you wait until the last moment, you will definitely run out of time. You'd have to work every day. And with your work commitments, with your family commitments, you won't be able to do so in a successful manner. So if you start right now, it's simply a matter of working 2 days a week, or dedicating your time towards studies 2 days a week. And on the rest of the week, you can focus on your work, focus on your family, so that you balance your education with your routine activities in the most effective manner. And if you do so, in week number 8, which is the final week, you will be done with all your work. Because of that, you will have enough and more time to start relaxing. It's essential that you start to relax closer to the exam. Why am I saying this? Because when 99% of the students out there are scrambling for time, when they're trying to attempt mock exams and conduct revision and do everything under the sun, when 99% of the students are extremely stressed a week before the exam, you are relaxing. And this is going to be extremely beneficial for you at your real examination, because as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. In a real life corporate environment, if you are to be successful, it helps if you're well relaxed. So your examination is as if you are walking into office on a Monday. If you were up till late during the weekend, if you didn't get proper sleep during the weekend, if you didn't eat on time, if you were under a lot of stress during the weekend, can you function properly on a Monday? You can't. So if you can't function properly, then are you doing your job properly? Are you carrying out your responsibilities properly? No. So if so, you will fail as an employee. So since the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment, you are expected to be well relaxed before the exam, because right before walking into the exam, the week before the exam, for instance, if you are stressed, and at the same time, if you're not getting your sleep properly, and also if you're trying to do everything under the sun, then you will be you will be exposed to extreme levels of stress at your real examination as well. So this is a tough examination. It's essential that you manage your stress levels, because as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application skills. The examiner is also testing whether you can manage stressful situations. So in order to manage stressful situations at your examination, it's essential that you start relaxing within the last week. So when all the other students are trying to do too much within the last week, trying to find time, you are relaxing. You are simply supposed to, attend the final workshop, thereby benefiting from last minute tips. Then simply refer to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams when you're going through this, 6 answer plans. It's as if you are going through the entire syllabus one last time. It's as if you are going through answer structures or how to tackle each type of syllabus area one last time, which is the best type of revision you should conduct closer to the exam. And simply reread the annotated pre-scene one last time. So within the last week, you are not supposed to attempt mock exams, not supposed to redevelop answer plans. Instead, you are simply going through the answer plans and reading the annotated pre-scene, and stop preparations a day or two prior to the exam. Sleep, eat, and rest well. So if your exam is on Wednesday, for instance, you have to complete all your work by Monday. Take your Tuesday off, which is essential, because if you are relaxing on Tuesday, you will function extremely well on Wednesday. I've seen students on the day of the exam at the examination center. I've seen students going through mock exam papers, trying to develop answer plans, going through OTQ syllabus areas. So if you are such a student, definitely you will be stressed before you walk in. I don't want you to be stressed, because your examination itself is stressful. You have to sit in one place across 3 hours and be exposed to extreme levels of stress in each section. So it's not easy. Most students struggle towards the last 2 sections. In the first 2 sections, you would be totally fine. But towards sections 3 and 4, you will struggle due to fatigue setting in. So if you are fatigued before the exam, definitely you will struggle in all 4 sections. So that is why it's essential that you're relaxed. I can't highlight this, better than this. So a week before the exam, you have to start relaxing. And a day or two before the exam, you are supposed to take a break. Don't refer to any study material. You might think that I'm crazy for you to ask, to ask you to, not go through study material. Trust me, it helps. This break which you take a day or two before the exam, it helps, because then you'd walk into the exam with a high level of open-mindedness. And it's essential that you have a high level of open-mindedness, because in a real-life corporate environment, you won't, know what can be tested or what type of issues the company is going to face. Instead, when responding to an email, you are supposed to consider just only consider the information which is shared with you. So at your exam, in order to develop high quality answers, you should make sure that you develop answers which are totally aligned with the information shared with you. If not, if you try to remember or memorize what appeared within the mock exams, you will come up with answers which are not aligned with the requirement, or which is not aligned with the information which is shared with you at your exam. So that's why you have to be open-minded, and the only way to be open-minded is to start relaxing a week before the exam and stop all work a day or two before your examination. So if you stick to the study plan, you will complete the entire to-do list. If so, you'd be extremely confident about your skill set, because once you're done with the first 3 mock exams, you will, when attempting mock exam 1, for instance, you will definitely run out of time. You will struggle with your answer structures. But by the time you are done with the first 3 mock exams, you will see a significant improvement. You will see that you are not running out of time anymore. You will see that you know how to structure your answers. And this type of confidence, which you'd gain on a weekly basis across the 6 mock exams, will help you immensely at your examination, because when all the other students are struggling, when they're under stress, you are not stressed, and at the same time you are fully confident about your skill set, because you have attempted the 6 mocks, which make sure that you have covered the entire syllabus and you have conducted revision concerning the same 6 mock exams, thereby redeveloping answer plans. So you have taken steps to champion your answering technique. So if you have championed your answering technique, if you are not stressed before the exam, then you need not worry. You will structure your answers properly. When you structure your answers, you will never run out of time. And when you are not running out of time, and when you know that you are structuring your answers properly, definitely you are in a position to manage your stress levels as well. Okay, so I hope you'd stick to this 8-week study plan. Therefore, start your preparations right now, rather than waiting until the last 2 or 3 weeks to start your preparations. All right. So those who stuck to our study plan achieved extremely good marks in the previous sitting. So looking at the pass rate for February 2025, we are happy to say that we achieved a 96% pass rate. And this student scored 98 marks. As I mentioned earlier, your pass mark is just 80. But if you stick to our study plan, you can easily score more than 95 marks. That's exactly what Jay achieved last time, thereby achieving 98 marks for the exams which happened in February 2025. So you can achieve a similar feat if you stick to our study plan. All right, so having said that, we are approaching the Q&A session. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop us a message via the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks. So thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything properly. And if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. So visit our website and click on the contact button, and then drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours. Then also you can email us directly via info@study@tcs.com, or WhatsApp us on this number. And I urge you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops will be uploaded to our YouTube handle. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to 6 videos. And these videos are 100% aligned with or focused on your pre-seen document. So we have developed a good pre-seen mind map via these 6 videos. So watch these videos to gain a good understanding of what appears within your pre-seen document. And on a daily basis, keep watching these TikToks to make sure that you constantly keep reminding yourself of the most important points which appear within your pre-seen document. Because if you do so, you need not waste time to memorize what appears within the pre-seen. We have done it for you. So the concluding thought is to approach OCS as an opportunity to learn rather than an exam to pass, because as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is testing whether you can operate in a real life corporate environment, whether you are capable of applying your theoretical knowledge in the most successful manner. So when conducting your preparations, don't simply focus on passing this examination. Instead, try to improve your skill set, because if you do so, you will excel during the at the MCS and SCS exams as well, and you will excel in your real lives as well. So having said that, it brings us to the end of today's webinar. I hope you gain a good understanding about what your OCS examination is all about and what you are intended to achieve in the upcoming 8 weeks. I hope to see you in the next week's webinar, in which I'm going to take you through your pre-seen document. So thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys next week at the same time. See you and take care.